St. John's has now completed her 155th year of worship and ministry, and 2014 has not only been one of great grace and blessing, but will be marked in the annals of the history of this parish as one of our benchmark years. Over the course of St. John's history, several periods stand out as benchmarks. Our founding in 1858, the opening of the chapel in 1859, and the opening of this church building in 1861 marks the glorious start of this parish. The 1880s saw the first major cosmetic renovation of the church, as well as the building of our former parish hall building, which for 90 years saw heavy use by the community, the diocese, and our parish groups. The 1890s brought a renovation of the church sanctuary, making this part of the church taller and deeper, and installing our beautiful and historic and super raredas. By the 1910s, 1920s, we saw the church neighborhood morph from residential to commercial, when the church began to be dwarfed by larger buildings. In 1936 and 37, the church and the chapel were moved, pushed back 60 feet, and placed on a new foundation and reinforced with steel beams for the widening of Woodward Avenue. Having survived the Depression, the church was called to service by hosting soldiers in our parish hall during World War II. The neighborhood began changing again, and the growth of the suburbs resulting in the degradation of the area immediately around our edifice. This dawned in the 1960s, the 70s, and the 80s. The decline began to reverse at the end of 1988, when the Fox Theater reopened across the street, having been renovated by the Illich family, who also moved their Pizza Empire headquarters into that building. The opening of the Detroit Tigers of America Park in 2000 solidified the remaking of our neighborhood into a destination for sports and entertainment, and began providing appreciable income through our parking lot. I am grateful to have come into the history of this parish at that point. The renewal of the neighborhood provided opportunities to revitalize this grand old parish, which had seen a decline in attendance and membership since the 1920s. From a high of 2,500 people on Sunday to an average of just 45 on Sunday before I arrived. By grace, average Sunday attendance is almost 4 times larger than it was in 2000. Income from pledges and other sources are up considerably, and after having had to use it out of necessity since the 1930s, the parish has been able to not use the endowment for her operating expenses for the past 2 years. This past year, we have had glorious worship, opportunities for education, and have renewed the Sunday school program. We've hired a minister to young adults, our fastest growing demographic in the parish. After today's election of the vestry members, 1/3 of that vestry will be under 38 years of age, something I don't think any other congregation in the diocese, other than college missions, can claim. We now offer a service at a nursing home in Plymouth, which has become a wonderful opportunity for ministry as well. 10 people were baptized here this year, 6 couples were married, 7 people confirmed, and 4 burials. Pledge income surpassed the budgeted expectation and was just 0.3% below last year's record high amount. I am grateful for the generosity of the congregation, the dedication and leadership of the wardens and vestry, and the daily diligence of the office staff and volunteers. In particular, I want to commend Kathy Morgan, who, for her dedication as treasurer, while she underwent 6 months of chemotherapy. I also thank God for all the time and effort put in by the volunteers at the altar, in the sacristy, back in the narthex doors, in the kitchen, and everywhere else people have pitched in to make their parish the wonderful place that it is. And I would be remiss if I did not mention with sadness the death of 2 of our pillars in our parish, Mary Bedford and Barbara Frisbee. They are both the end of July, with the public announcement for the building of the new hockey arena across the freeway from St. John's, we also began a discussion with them about development plans closer to us, including the building of apartments on a portion of our property. The vestry began these discussions. Committees comprised of members of the vestry and others in the parish were formed, and the parish met twice, once informally in September for dinner, and once formally for a vote in December, as negotiations progressed. At one point, over 30 people have been involved at some level in the committee discussions and the negotiations to bring about a long-term lease. The terms of that lease are almost completed, and God willing, its signing is imminent. I particularly want to commend and thank our senior board, Bruce Berger, for his business and negotiation acumen. In consultation with both a real estate development and a legal expert, Bruce and I went into the meetings with Olympia representatives well prepared. Bruce was able to put a very large dreams for the parish onto their radar, was patient when they wanted to move quickly, and I have to confess, I wanted to move quickly too, and negotiated those dreams into what is about to become a 49 to 99-year lease reality. At a vestry meeting in the spring of 2001, my first year here, there was concern about money and the budget. At that point, I proclaimed there's no money problems we have today that can't be solved by 100 more people in the pews. Then I continued, of course, we will have new and different money problems then. And within a few years, with those new people, as predicted, new problems as well. Looking at the expected windfall of a new lease with Olympia Development, we once again have a new money problem. Instead of questions of how are we going to get money to pay the bills, we now have a problem of how is God calling us to use these new funds to glorify Him and to be the parish He wants us to be. The common thread from those early years, which we will now weave through solving this new problem, is that we put first things first. The first thing is to put God first. Faithfulness, right doctrine, and a desire to grow in holiness. When we concentrate on these things, the money solution will come as a result of grateful hearts, motivated by the Holy Spirit. This has been the guiding principle for this parish during my tenure, with the exception of a few years of the economic recession, when we got distracted and we focused primarily on money. We seem to forget that when we are faithful, He is faithful. We got back on track to the first things first in the past 2 years. So now we move forward into a new era at St. John's. The faith and doctrine will not change, nor our adherence to traditional Anglican worship, which precisely and expansively embodies both. But our neighborhood will change. Our ministries will expand and change as God leads us. And as the congregation grows, it will be as exciting as it will perhaps be scary as well. But grounded in a solid foundation, we boldly go forward in faith. God has and will continue to provide. But with the abundance of blessings God is bestowing upon us, we have to continue to put first things first. Now is not the time for us to rest on our laurels, to become complacent, or think we no longer need to financially support the parish with our time or our talent. We need to keep our hands to the plow and keep working towards the building up of the kingdom. We need to be generous in our giving to the parish, not because God needs it, but because we need to give it and to do it as a spiritual discipline. And we need to work together, avoiding negativity and other temptations that will prevent us from keeping focused on our mission. And please, if you hear anything about this project, anything in the past or anything in the present or future which seems novel to you or contradicts what's been published by the vestry, please come to the senior warden and I right away so we can clear up you would be amazed at the stories I'm hearing